Hey everyone, I hope you guys had a great weekend. Today I want to start with going over subtraction with two-digit numbers from one-digit number. And then if we have time, I'm going to look at adding three-digit numbers with you. So our first example is 12 minus 2. So over here, we have our numbers lined up based on place value. It's always where we start. So then we subtract in columns starting on the right in the ones place. So we have 2 minus 2, which is 0. And then there's no number here, so that would look like a 0. So then it would be 1 minus 0, which is 1. So our answer is 10. Okay. Our next one, we have 20 minus 6. Okay, so for 20 minus 6, we have in our ones column 0 minus 6. We can't subtract 6 from 0, so we need to move over and borrow. So our 2 becomes a 1, and our 0 becomes a 10. Then we have 10 minus 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. And again, there's no number here, so this would look like a 0. So we would have 1 minus 0, which is 1. So our answer is 14. Over here we have 20 minus 7. Again, we can't subtract 7 from 0. So our 0, we have to borrow from the 2. The 2 becomes a 1. And our 0, we add a 1 in front of it, and it becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. And then our 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 13. Next we have 10 minus 2. Again, can't subtract 2 from 0, so we go borrow from our 1. Our 1 becomes a 0, and our 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. And then we have nothing here and nothing here, so our answer is just 8. Over here we have 15 minus 8. Can't subtract 8 from 5, so we move over, we borrow from the 1, which becomes a 0. And then our 5, we add a 1 in front of it, and it becomes a 15. So now we have 15 minus 8, and 15 minus 8 is 7. Next we have 17 minus 7. Again, we start on the right. We have 7 minus 7, which is 0. And then we have 1 minus 0, which is 1. So our answer is 10. Next one, we have 10 minus 5. We can't subtract 0 or 5 from 0, so we have to move over, borrow from the 1. That's going to become a 0. And then our 0 becomes a 10. Now we have 10 minus 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. And then 0, this would be a 0, so 0 minus 0 would still be 0. So our answer to 10 minus 5 is 5. Next we have 12 minus 3. We can't subtract 3 from 2, so we need to move over and borrow from our 1. Our 1 becomes a 0, and our 2 will become a 12. Now we have 12 minus 3, and 12 minus 3 is 9. So our answer is 9. Moving over, we have 13 minus 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. And then 1, this would be a 0 here. So 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 10. Over here we have 15 minus 6. We can't subtract 6 from 5, so we move over. Our 1 becomes a 0, and our 5 will become a 15. Now we're left with 15 minus 6, and 15 minus 6 is 9. Next problem, we have 16 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. And then 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 14. Our next problem, we have 19 minus 8. We start on the right. We have 9 minus 8, which is 1. And then we have 1 minus 0, which is also 1. So our answer is 11. Next problem, we have 18 minus 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. Remember, we have our 0 here. It's a place value, so we have 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 14. Next problem, we have 19 minus 1. Start on the right with 9 minus 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. And then we move over. We have a 0 for a place value, so we have 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 18. Our next problem, we have 13 minus 8. When we start on the right, we can't subtract 8 from 3, so we need to move over, borrow from the 1. Our 1 becomes a 0, and our 3 becomes a 13. Now we have 13 minus 8, and 13 minus 8 is 5. Next we have 17 minus 3. We start on the right with 7 minus 3. 7 minus 3 is 4. We have our 0 for a place value holder, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 14. Our next problem, we have 14 minus 2. Start over here with 4 minus 2, which is 2. A 0 for a place value, and we have 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 12. Our next problem is 11 minus 9. We can't subtract 9 from 1, so we need to move over and borrow from this one. It becomes a 0, and this one will become 11. Now we have 11 minus 9, and 11 minus 9 is 2. We have 0, and then this would be a 0 here, which would be a 0 here, and we don't need that 0 because it's in front of the number. Our next problem, we have 19 minus 5. Start on the right with 9 minus 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. We have our 0 for our place value. 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 14. (10 minus 4). We start on the right with 0 minus 4. You can't subtract 4 from 0, so we go next door. We change our 1 to a 0 and our 0 to a 10. Now we have 10 minus 4, and 10 minus 4 is 6. Our next problem is 16 minus 7. We start on the right with 6 minus 7. You can't subtract 7 from 6, so we go next door and we borrow from our 1. 1 changes to a 0, and our 6 becomes 16. 16 minus 7 is 9. And 0 minus 0 is 0. So our answer is 9. Our next problem, we have 12 minus 10. Start on the right with 2 minus 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. And 1 minus 1 is 0. But because this 0 comes in front of our number, we don't need to put it. So our answer is just 2. Okay, here we have 20 minus 1. Start on the right with 0 minus 1. We can't subtract 1 from 0, so we need to move over and borrow. Our 2 is going to become a 1, because we only take 1 away from it. And our 0 is going to become a 10. Now we have 10 minus 1, and 10 minus 1 is 9. And we move over and we have 1 minus, we have our 0 for our place value. 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 19. Our next problem, 15 minus 2. We start on the right with 5 minus 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. We move over and we have 1 minus 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 13. Next problem, we have 18 minus 8. We're going to start on the right with 8 minus 8. 8 minus 8 is 0. When we move over, we have 1 minus 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 10. Our next problem, we have 14 minus 3. Start on the right with 4 minus 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. And we move over, and we have 1 minus our 0 for our place value. 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 11. Over here, we have 17 minus 2. We start on the right with 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. And we move over, and we have 1 minus 0 for our place value holder. So 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 15. Our last problem, we have 18 minus 3. Start on the right with 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. And then we move over. We have 1 minus our 0 for place value. 1 minus 0 is 1. So our answer is 15. We have a little bit of time left, so I want to come down here and work on adding 3-digit numbers. So right here for number 1, we have 4 plus 2 plus 5. So we start with 4. Let's change this. Okay, so if we start with 4, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus 1, 2, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 4, and we add 2 more, so 4 plus 2 is 6. And then we start with 6, and we add 5 more. So when we start with 6 and we count up 5 more, we end up with 11. So our answer is 11. Down here for our next one, we're going to start with 9. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus 5 more. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Plus 5 more. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So our answer is 19. Our next one, we're going to start with 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus 2 more, so 8, 9, 10. Plus 4 more, so 11, 12, 13, 14. So our answer is 14. For our next one, we start with 0, so we have nothing, plus 9, so 0 plus 9 is 9, and then we're going to add one more, so 9, 10. So our answer is 10. Okay. So for our next one, we start with 2. So 1, 2. And we're going to add 9 more. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now we're going to add 8 more. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So our answer is going to be 19. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more for you. So we're going to start with this one with 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 0. So we're going to skip over that, plus 7. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So our answer is 15. This is the last one we're going to do together. We're going to start with 1, and then we're going to add 2 more. So 2, 3, plus 8 more. So we're at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So our answer is 11. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there for today. If you need anything from me, please email me, reach out on Google Hangouts. If I don't hear from you, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you all next week.